very much for your time, everyone. My name is Jordan Haggard, and I kind of have a bit of a diverse background in poultry. So I did grow up in Central Florida down here, where I did show some as a youth, but just locally through Volusia County. I always had just an interest in poultry, so kind of had them as a hobby. Ended up moving to Iowa and absolutely fell in love with poultry and the industry, and really learned a lot about showing up in Iowa. I had a phenomenal group of people that I learned a tremendous amount about poultry for years. I had the honor of being the superintendent at the Iowa State Fair for a couple years, and I absolutely loved it. Showing poultry and educating youth is just something I'm incredibly passionate about. So about 3 years ago, we did relocate back to Florida, and kind of the same thing. I jumped in with 2 feet, and anything I could do to help youth is phenomenal. So really this discussion that we're going to have, and that's what I want it to be, as a discussion. Stop me and ask questions. I have a whole list of all the things that I want to cover because there's so much to include. But if there's something that you want answered right then and there, make sure you put that in the chat, and we will stop and answer those questions right away. Again, this is a dialogue. This is a conversation. Consider me a collector. I have collected information from so many different judges and shows and individuals out there that I've learned a lot. And guess what? I've also failed a lot. So by that failing, I've learned what works, what doesn't work. But there's one thing I want you to really keep in mind. This is what works for us. This is what has worked for our birds in the past. And I am going to go into some specifics, and I'm also going to talk about things in a general mindset. So some things have specifically worked for us. Some of these things, again, are my opinion on how they work, and you are always going to have somebody that says something different. You are going to have people out there that say chickens can survive off scratch feed. Can they? Yes. Do they have the quality of life you need for healthy reproduction and shows? They don't. So again, it's different opinions, but there's a reason I have the opinions that I want to go through today. So really, we are talking about showing, but I'm going to focus in on conditioning. And conditioning is getting those birds ready to show. So I don't expect you to be able to read this. It's too small, but it's basically a timeline of what happens during shows and things like that. This is when the egg is laid. This is when you're sorting and choosing your birds. This is when you're looking at feathers. This is when you're doing nails and beaks. This is when you're washing, and this is when you're showing. If you start trying to get ready here, you've missed a tremendous amount of valuable time in that bird's life. And honestly, getting that bird ready for show starts before it's even born, because the nutrients of the parents are going to impact that egg. So that's just one of the things that we are going to talk about. What we are also going to talk about is what conditioning can fix, as well as what it cannot fix. We're going to talk about housing. We're going to talk about breeding, washing, and then very specific show preparations for different breeds. I am going to do a demonstration of despurring a bird. We are going to trim nails, and we are going to pluck feathers. So I'm trying to cram an entire bird's lifespan into a video presentation. So that's just something I want you to realize. Again, this is why I want you to interrupt if you have questions. So first off, when we're talking about a bird, there are things that you can fix by conditioning. Delaney, can you grab me an Old English? So you can fix feather quality. You can't fix color. That would be cheating. You can pluck an inaccurate feather. You cannot fix a comb. If a bird has a wrong comb type, that's it. It simply has a wrong comb type. Conditioning is understanding your bird and making sure that you have the finishing touches for that bird. So it's important for you to understand the bird that you're starting with. And to do that, you need to use your resources that are out there. We have the Standard of Perfection for the American Poultry Association, with standard as well for the Bantam Association. There are phenomenal authors out there that write books specifically to specific foods. Sorry for that. And there are memberships that you can join to the APA and ABA, where you get these wonderful books every year full of information. And we'll go through those in a minute. But if you don't know what your end goal is for, it's going to be a lot harder to obtain. So conditioning can make sure that bird is physically as healthy as possible, that its feathers are in as good quality as possible, but again, it can't help major faults. It's not going to change the structure of the bird. So making sure you understand that is great. This is just a little English cockerel that we have. Let's leave the clock down. We were a little late on dubbing this bird, i.e. he has not been dubbed. So Old English are a bird that should be dubbed generally with earlier on because their comb tends to flop and it gets a little crease in here. So when you do dub it,